All right, everyone, welcome back to another Basic Bogeys episode. Here, coming off a wonderful week of the PGA Championship. Uh, some of our picks weren't great that we made with Bud.
Might be the worst thing that we ever put on the internet was
I
like
will
we were so
say,
confident with all those picks.
I will say, I'm rocking the new DraftKings hat. So they had, I don't know if you saw it, they had a $10 minimum bet, but you got $15 of store credit. And so what I put the bet on, because it needed to be like a plus 150, and that was it.
hmm
Bud was so confident with his Denny McCarthy as like a sneaky top 20, so I bet him
hmm
top 40. He ended up finishing 16th. So I basically got my money back,
Wow.
basically got the hat for free.
Wow.
So we're rocking the DraftKings hat. But we've got a guest tonight that is fresh off of, he just was at Quail Hollow. So welcome Donnie, the founder of Carry Golf.
Yeah, hey, it's great to be with you guys, and I'm taking notes here on your sustainable business model, TJ. That sounds like a good deal.
yeah,
Easy bets to get your money back. That's what
yeah.
I do. So Donnie, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, what Carry Golf is, and how this all kind of transpired.
Yeah, so Carrie started 4 years ago as a lifelong super fan of the game and recreational hacker. Um, I was pretty blissfully aware of the amount of talent out there competing for PGA Tour cards, LPGA Tour cards, and when COVID shut down golf or shut down, most things, one of the first events to come back that actually had, real PGA Tour players in the field was a mini tour event out in Arizona. And at the time, I was working at Sport Radar, and their whole business is collecting and distributing sports data that they share with media partners, but also sports betting and fantasy operators. And I had a colleague reach out and say, "Hey, Donnie, we hear you're this golf nerd. What's the Desert Financial Open or the Scottsdale Open?" I said, "I have no idea what you're talking about," but I went to the website and 100 some odd guys I had never heard of. But then I see Joel Damon, Kevin Streelman, a couple other PGA Tour players, and my lazy analysis was this is a 3-day tournament. Joel and Kevin, whoever else was in the field, like they play on the best tour on the planet. They're going to run away with this event,
Sure.
and they played well, but they didn't win. And the guy who won shot 63, 67, 62. And yeah, what I always
Jeez.
say is like, I don't care about setup or conditions. That's real golf, right? There's no scenario where most people are coming close to that. And I just became obsessed with like, who are these players that in a given tournament can not only compete with, but even beat PGA Tour players. And now I say that kind of embarrassingly because my whole life, the last 4 years, at least professionally, has become advocating for, championing for these athletes that are out there, grinding to get their cards, and a real appreciation for how close so many of them are. Um, and so it was, a bit of a curiosity turned passion project turned complete right turn professionally. My background is primarily in the national security space. I was a Marine and later worked in the intelligence community as an intelligence officer. Uh, got married, pivoted out of that world, went into work in finance, and then eventually sports data. But starting Carry and getting into the golf space, if you would have told me even 6 years ago, hey, you're going to have a company in the golf space, I would have said something has gone woefully wrong. But it turns out it's gone, a lot has gone right, and a lot of people have helped make it possible. So it's been a fun journey. And our whole mission is really to support the players who have the game and
Mhm.
work ethic and intangible skills to make it, but are often lacking in the financial runway. Those first couple of years when you turn pro
Yeah.
can be very expensive, a lot more money
Sure.
going out to compete than coming in. And so how can we help sustain their careers in the early days so they can go about living out their dreams?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen like just some of those clips of those people playing mini tours and stuff before where it's like they're spending tens of thousands of dollars and you know, the on the PJ tour like you make the cut, you're good. But they got to finish, top 2, if not win it to like make their money back just that single week. I mean, it's really cool to support to help them just with like basically it's like making connections with sponsors and stuff like
Sure.
that, right?
Yeah, I think most of professional golf is set up to support established stars and superstars, and that's for good reason, right? I
Mhm.
loved watching on Sunday, watch Scotty do his thing. He's certainly a generational talent, and it's fun to see, right? But there are so many players who are really good. They're not Scotty Scheffler good, but they're really good.
Mhm.
And in the early part, to your point, TJ, in the early part of their career, between travel, entry fees, coaching, course access, even things like 4 years ago having a high-end launch monitor, TrackMan or Quad or something like that was a nice to have. It's quickly become table stakes for players, right? And so if
Yeah.
you can't afford those things, then I don't care how good you are, you're not going to be able to train and compete the right way. And what we find is oftentimes players, these are players who had phenomenal junior careers, amateur careers, they all conference, all American in college, and they turn pro, and it's like, hey, I'm not an overnight superstar, and I don't have sponsors, falling all over themselves to come support me. And mom and dad have done everything they could to get me to this point, so I got to kind of figure it out on my own, and that's ideally where we come in to help them get the sponsors and funding they need.
Yeah. How'd you kind of get to the name Cary Golf? Like, where did that originate from?
Yeah, so I mean, Cary is obviously a golf term a
Yeah.
couple ways over. And our original model was fans could invest in players and do so from a standpoint of, hey, I love golf. I want to be closer to the pro. Just like when you place those, single dollar bets, it adds a little more excitement to anything you're consuming, right? And so originally it was about access, experience, being able to get together with our golfers and go to nice courses, play some golf, have some fun. And then also if and when they had success, they would share a small percentage of their earnings. And ideally we would create this flywheel where people would say, hey, this is great. I supported TJ and it worked out. And let me go ahead and support Gary. And so Cary is obviously an investing term as well. But the real idea behind the name is the reality that if you've had any kind of success in life, I don't care what your industry or profession is, if you've had any kind of success in life, other people have had a role, probably many people have had a role in helping you get there.
Absolutely.
Right? Parents, teachers, religious leaders, friends, whoever it might be.
Yeah.
I think the idea of a self-made person, regardless of background or story, is a bit of BS, right? And so how could we create a company that would help carry athletes towards their dreams, right? With the reality that as much as I love golf, as much as many of our investor supporters love golf, there's no scenario in the world where I should ever be, or most people should ever be inside the ropes on their own merit. But let's help those who have the game, right, and have some fun in the process. So, long answer to a short question, but hopefully that's helpful.
Have you now? Obviously, you said it started up about 4 years. Have you? Do you have anybody that like started with you from the beginning that you still are like that still play under that right now?
Yeah, so we've done a couple different. There's been a couple different evolutions of the model and how we work with players, but certainly we have a handful from our original pilot group in 2022 that are still out there competing. Others are still in the golf industry, but no longer competing professionally. One, for example, is Matt Picanso, Pico, who's actually the caddy for Mark Hubbard.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he was a Korn Ferry Tour player and got married and started growing a family, and Hubbard and him are good buddies, and it worked out well. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, so it's cool.
Yeah, I mean that's not a bad gig either. Getting for
especially last year, right? Especially last year, he was an automatic make cut.
What was it? Something I saw like Scheffler's caddies made more than like most of the guys.
So much,
dude, it's so nuts.
He's made more than a lot of people.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. What are the kind of like the parameters, or like what do you look for when you're looking for somebody to kind of carry the Cary name?
Yeah. Early on, we had a pretty defined set of criteria that was admittedly written in pencil, not pen, but we wanted to prioritize a mixture of quantitative and qualitative data, especially when you're talking about players who are really at the outset of their career and you don't have stuff like shot link data or true strokes gained to really evaluate talent. It was more what kind of success have they had on any level? Do they have a history of winning tournaments, closing tournaments out? Do they have a history of truly going low, right? They don't need to shoot a 64 every round. That's not possible, but it's nice to know that truly deep round is in the bag somewhere. What do peers say about him? What do tournament directors say about him? Are they really trying to earn their big tour card, or are they just kind of a really good golfer and this is something to do post college for a few years? And then a lot of it was also just getting on calls like this or Zooms like this, or spending time with them in person and getting a sense for, is this someone from a human standpoint, like interpersonal, that I would want to be affiliated with, that we would want our brand to be affiliated with? And do they really believe that if they work hard, maybe get a little bit of luck along the way, they can make it? And there's quite a few really good players out there that I think if you held them to the fire, they don't truly believe they can make it, and that comes out in a few different ways, right? So over the years, our model has evolved. We just launched a marketplace about 2 months ago where it's not come one, come all, but we are kind of broadening the parameters to be the platform provider for athletes to come on, share their stories. We help amplify, and people can support in a variety of ways. And I don't want to be the decider. Our selection committee doesn't want to be the decider of who or who doesn't get funding. Rather, come on the platform and kind of, free markets. Let's see who gets the support they need. And a lot of that goes to how the athletes in turn, market themselves and also share their own, profile.
Yeah. How many athletes is it that you support currently? Because you have like men and women like all over different countries too, not just the US, right?
Yeah, we're always going to have at least 50% women,
Mhm.
in part because as expensive as it is for the guys, I would argue it's even more so for the ladies,
Sure.
in part because of the purses they're competing for and
Yeah.
different considerations when it comes to things like host housing. Um, we help. Right now, we've helped at least 50 players, support. I'm reluctant to use that word because with our initial group, we did truly support them financially. We gave them
Mhm.
all $50,000 out the gate, and it was a bit of like lessons and learning for what's the best model. Now that we are no longer the direct source of capital for athletes, rather we're just the platform provider. We're not supporting them directly financially, but certainly, again, helping amplify their stories, connecting them with different resources, tools, getting them exposure and opportunities they otherwise wouldn't have. For that, it's over 50 now in total.
Nice.
Wow. Jeez.
Thanks for watching today's episode.
To see more of our content, be sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe on YouTube. We can be found at Basic Bogeys on all platforms.
Thanks. We hope to see you on the next one.